the most anticipated preseason game that I could recall for a number of years. We were so excited to see CJ Stroud, head coach D'Amico Ryans. It just feels great that football was back, baby. You good, Harley?
Yeah, it feels absolutely
Okay.
fantastic. We got to finally see the. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Okay. We fight to see the Texans, translated on the field. Fighting for it. Yeah, man, it was exciting to watch. Finally get to see some football, see some Texans, and we get to delve into some.
Our boy Harley is breaking up on us. Give us 1 second. Now you're looking good. Just can't hear you now, buddy. Shout out to the OG Mike. Still can't hear you. But no, I mean, it just feels great to know that there is football. And it's like the past, like I said, we've been talking about how the past 2 years have led up to this. And it's just was good to see the red, white, and blue out there against the New England Patriots. Nothing yet, buddy. What is going on, everyone? We got DJ Savage, Hernandez, Cassie Munoz, Nacho. I am worried, but not worried for our future quarterback. Um, DJ Savage All Star said, "What if I super chat you $10? I'll probably send it right back to you, man. Keep the money for yourself, buddy."
Does that work now?
There you go.
Hey, alrighty.
It's all
There we go.
good.
There we go.
As you were saying about seeing the Houston Texans play football again.
Yeah, no, it was good to see. We finally got to see it translate onto the field. That's basically what I was getting to. The Houston Texans, it's fun to watch.
Mhm.
Always, we're fans, but there's always a difference between OTAs, training camp, and of course, game. Let's get into it. Let's see it in a game, and we're gonna delve into a few guys that we like, a few guys that got to work on some things, and whatever else that entails with a preseason game one for the Houston Texans. It's ever so exciting.
No, and it feels good to talk about a W. The Houston Texans defeated the New England Patriots 20-9. And, let's start with head coach D'Amico Ryans. He looked comfortable. I was, looking to how he handled certain situations, but it looked like the head coach did very well. I think the coaches were very prepared for this preseason game. There wasn't a lot of penalties. The defense wasn't missing tackles. Overall, it looked like this Houston Texans played some sound offense and defense.
Yeah, it was the defense was everywhere. It was everything that was advertised.
Mm.
Because every day in training camp, the highlight of training camp was always the defense. And you had some few days from the offense, specifically when CJ started taking all first team reps. But the defense throughout all of training camp was amazing. And then we got to see it on the field,
Mm-hmm.
and they continue to dominate. I mean, we're looking at play designs, we're looking at stunts, we're looking at Denzel Perryman go out in coverage. Nope, fake, go straight in and get his sack. All right. Hey, Will Anderson is a monster like everyone has been advertising. The defense looks ready, and that's without Jimmy Ward. That's
Mm.
without, some other guys that will be there. So overall, the defense was nice for a week one preseason game. I mentioned breadcrumbs as, being a vanilla offense defense. If that's your vanilla defense, wow.
Mm.
Wow. That's all I got to say.
DJ Savage, thank you for the $10. Send me your cash app so I can send that thing back. On that Denzel Perryman sack, it was Will Anderson Jr. screaming off the edge, would cause the quarterback Bailey to step up in the pocket, and Denzel Perryman ate him up. On one point, Will Anderson Jr. got double teamed. They had to put a linebacker towards his side because he was getting into the backfield. Bro, this defense, it might be top 15. And what was crazy is whether it was the first, second, third, or fourth stringers, the intensity did not come off the field. The swarm mentality
Mm.
was there, and it wasn't just one Houston Texans making a tackle. I can finally say that now. It was multiple Houston Texans making a tackle.
That's great to see. And as we know, I'm glad you mentioned that because that has just been the biggest deficiency when it comes to the Texans defense. And this is stemming with Bill O'Brien. Even when we had good defenses, the biggest thing was always tackling. You
Mm.
know, I remember that Miami Dolphins game from
Oh.
years ago where we just got pummeled. And it was mainly because you couldn't tackle nobody.
Hmm.
Because the very next week, you got your ass chewed out from the Dolphins, and the next week the defense does a complete 360 and looks fantastic. So, tackling and missed tackling has always been a problem with this Houston Texans defense for many years. It was good to see people go out there, especially like number 39, Henry
Mm.
T. And Henry T with a huge, I thought his biggest play of the game was I believe it was
It was a stuff,
it
right?
was a pass, to the outside, and basically he's one on one to make that tackle. The guy gets around him, it's a first down. Henry T stops him,
Mm.
makes the tackle, and that's what you like to see. I know that sounds so insignificant, but that is huge when it comes to whether third and 3 and fourth and 1. Like you don't know what happens if that guy gets a first down. You don't know the preceding plays that could happen afterwards. That's a huge play from someone that's a rookie. All
Hmm.
right, that D'Amico has been sprinkling his dust all over. Henry T, as I like to call him now. Shout out to the group chat for coming out with that nickname. I like that. Henry T is now the new nickname for Toto. Uh, he was just everywhere in
Hmm.
preseason, and that's no shame against Denzel Perryman, who I thought looked really good out there as well. Both of
Fantastic.
these guys are going to be rotating in and out.
DJ Salazar, thank you for the 199. He said, "Can't believe that CJ really threw a pick in the first game." No, it was a knife to the heart, quite honestly, man. I was expecting him to, go out there and make a play. That's what I wanted to see. He was trying to force it to Tank Dell. Tank Dell destroyed the cornerback on that route. He
Mm.
should have gave it to Dotson Schultz. We would have punted, lived to see another down. You have any issues with that INT?
No, none whatsoever. CJ Stroud, and I guess we could get into it, and if you're watching live, make sure you're also checking us out on the Believe in Texans podcast, where you can stream anywhere on all your podcasting platforms. Uh, you know, we can get into CJ Stroud right now. And I
Mm.
thought, hey, he looked like a rookie. He the pocket kept collapsing on him. He had some happy feet at times. That's rookie stuff.
Hmm.
It's gonna happen. When you look at the out pass that he had to Nico Collins, the ball should have came out sooner. You know, okay, we can nitpick there. The ball should have came out sooner, but he got the completion.
Hmm.
Nico trucked that defender that got me a little
Christian
like, oh,
Gonzalez.
I was like, okay, okay. Christian Gonzalez is a big dude. I think I really
He's gonna
love
be a
Christian
stud.
Gonzalez. He's going to be an absolute stud. Got to represent por la raza, man. We'll get into my boy later, but CJ Stroud, he looked like a rookie. There's nothing else to do about that. He's going to improve, and I think he's going to stick with the moniker. The
Hmm.
moniker has been where he has been okay, decent, average to begin OTA's training camp. But as the days kept going, Stroud continued to get better every single day. And now
Hmm.
he's getting first team reps all the way now, which is fantastic. So, he wants to fix these things. There was a quote that he said he wanted to go back out there
Hmm.
and right the wrongdoings, unquote unquote, from CJ Stroud. I love hearing that. He's a rookie that wants to play and wants to continue to get better. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, he's just a rookie. And when you look at the
Hmm.
rest of these guys, I mean, none of the stats look any different than CJ Stroud. I thought Stroud should have played a little bit longer, but you had an interception from Anthony Richardson. You had an interception from Will Levis. You had Bryce Young, who
Got
actually did play.
murdered.
He got slammed many times. No interceptions, though. So, hey, I guess you could say he didn't, still got a sack. So, the Houston Texans, plus the offensive line, everyone was like, oh, this offensive line's ass. Oh, my God, dude. We're playing with backups. We don't got LT. We don't got Shaq Mason. We don't got Titus Howard. And the two guys that we were looking at actually looked good. It
Woo,
was
the
Kenyon Green
Kenyon
and
Green.
Juice Scruggs. I was going to say Shaq Mason. Juice Scruggs and Kenyon Green. They looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It was great to ooh and awe over Brian Baldinger. Shout out to Brian Baldinger, former NFL player, really good, by the way, former offensive lineman. So he knows what he's talking about when it comes to offensive line play. And he highlighted Juice Scruggs, but in those highlights, you see Kenyon Green
Mm-hmm.
doing the same thing, or if not better than Scruggs, and that is what you want to see. That is what the Texans need for a rookie quarterback. In order for Stroud to get better, have him play with that full offensive line. We can't wait for it. I like to see Tunsil play. I'd like
Mm-hmm.
for it to happen. Does it? I don't know. But this is just going to help Stroud whenever it happens week 1 and he's named the starter. I'll let you know that now. Whenever he's a week 1 starter against the Baltimore Ravens and he's got a full offensive line healthy and ready to go, the sky's the limit.
BG asks, is tomorrow's practice against Miami? No, it is not. But me and Harley will be there.
Yes,
And
I
we will
will.
be at
I got
every
tickets.
open remainder practice that the Houston Texans have
Yeah.
available to the public. Welcome, guys, to another episode and believe in the Houston Texans. I am one part of your team, Ruben Calvillo. I am wearing the one piece hat that Shanks gave Luffy and said, whenever you become a great pirate, you come give it back to me. And I am joined by the handsome man as ever, Harley Dugan. It's so glad to talk about Texans football. I'm not worried about CJ Stroud. I
Me
didn't see
neither.
enough. When you only throw the ball
Mm,
4 times, that's not really a sample size.
yeah.
And no Shaq Mason, no Titus Howard, no Laramie Tunsil. It is raining. He said that every first game he has played in the rain. Look, I think CJ Stroud will be fine. And when you talk about how he overcomes mistakes, that's something he's been doing all throughout training camp and practice. So I expect tomorrow we see CJ Stroud going absolutely lights out against the D'Amico Ryans defense. Speaking about Juice Scruggs and Kenyon Green, there was one play where the New England Patriots they ran a stunt, and Juice Scruggs and Kenyon Green had to pass off each other's man and block the guy that they were passing off, and the communication was right there the entire time. There was one play where Kenyon Green got backed up into CJ Stroud, but honestly, the ball would have been out by then. I was very encouraged what I saw from Juice Scruggs and Kenyon Green. Austin Deckley's got absolutely murdered. George Fant, yeah, he did not look good either. He was thrown into the fire with the recent Titus Howard injury. Your guy Mike Boone, he showed out on a couple runs.
I like me some Mike Boone. I like Mike Boone a lot. I still think he's your third running back, but this is all dependent on Valaday. I think it's between both of them. Do they carry
Mhm.
4? I'm not. I don't think so. Especially since you have a fullback and Andrew Beck, and then you're going to be carrying 3 tight ends plus the fullback. They're not carrying 4 running backs.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't think so. Now those guys will be on the practice squad, and Valaday hasn't shown. He didn't show too much in the preseason week 1. He was okay, decent. Maybe he could be a practice squad guy.
No, and now we get to talk about the star of the show. And before I let Harley go off, Tank Dell, 5 catches, 56 yards, 1 tutty. Did it with Davis Mills. At one point, he had to tell Davis Mills to bring the ball up a little bit because he wanted to get those yards after the catch. I think everyone should be circling number 13 as a potential number 1 guy.
I think so too. I got a video coming out relatively soon about Tank Dell. And should the Texans cut the bullshit and have Tank Dell wide receiver 1?
It looked like it last night.
He looks like it. He looks apart. He looks different. You have to, and I'm about to, like I said in the video, and I'm gonna have that video uploaded in just a few more minutes. But I said, with I'm putting on the U of H bias glasses on now. I've always said that I try to take my bias away when it comes to Tank Dell, and I've done it for far too long.
Mm.
He is now with the Texans, and we got to see him preseason week 1 against the Patriots. 5 catches, 65 yards, in a tutty. Not just any regular tutty. Circus catch. All right? Not with his hand, not with his leg, but both his hand and his leg. So let's get it straight. Tank Dell is absolutely him.
Mm.
What they didn't do in college when it came to him at U of H was they didn't jam him on the line consistently enough. You saw it again with the New England Patriots. You have to jam him on the line. The way he gets separation level against these cornerbacks, he is elite at separation. So if you're not going to jam him, what are you going to see? You're going to see that slant pass that Davis Mills threw that I thought he was going to take it all the way. I had just had a feeling. I was like, Tank Dell's gone. And then he get tackled for a, 20, 30-yard gain
Mm-hmm.
almost? I mean, it was fantastic to watch. I think the Texans should just cut with the BS. And I know they won't. It's going to be Nico Collins most likely, or him, or Robert Woods. I'm trying to wait for Robert Woods. Because
Mm.
I never wanted Robert Woods to begin with. I never cared for him. And I got sold in. Everyone was like, oh my God, Landry Locker, he's a Nostradamus because he wanted Robert Woods, and we got Robert Woods, and now we're going to listen to everything Locker says about Robert Woods because he is right. And I'm looking at it now going, do I really freaking need a Robert Woods on this team?
I don't think you do.
I don't think so. I think he's a waste of time, and I always thought he was a waste of money. Should have just moved on and kept going. And the idea of taking a Tank Dell should have enticed you more than signing Robert Woods. And you're looking at it on the field, he's just absolutely amazing. I can't wait to continue to see him play with this Texans team. He's got a bright future. 7-1-3, the connection is there. Sure, we saw it with Davis Mills. Just imagine with a CJ Stroud and a fully ready offensive line. Tank Dell's got the slot receiving position locked. I don't think there's anybody else besides John Mechie, and I love Mech. I didn't see a lot from him,
Mm-hmm.
so I assume they're going to keep it slow with John Mechie. I do believe that he's going to, at some point, some way, going to make a big play where he asserts himself into this wide receiving group. But Tank Dell, I mean, what else is there to say? I need to see him just wreak havoc and be my wide receiver 1. Screw it. I don't care.
I mean, he has that takeover ability, and it's when he has the ball in his hands, he is electric. And we've seen him at training camp be the the number one wide receiver at practice sometimes. And
Yep.
it's so great that we saw it on a Thursday night football game. The world was watching. You had every Texans fan invested into it, and he absolutely put on the show. There was a great tweet out there where it was Tank that was doing an exercise on a exercise
Yeah.
ball, and he was
Vader.
upside down and he was catching tennis balls. The main thing of the tweet was like that catch wasn't by accident. We've
Mm-hmm.
prepared for this. And Tank Dell, man, I don't want to see him no more throughout this preseason. I, this guy could be my potential number one guy. I need to see more from John Menchie, Hutch, Nico Collins. You brought up Robert Woods. He's only had one good practice, that Saturday scrimmage. Tank Dell has closed the door, in my opinion. You don't have a performance like that. One of the best performances from a Houston Texans rookie wide receiver. And man, you put on a show, and it's not even with CJ Stroud. It is with Davis Mills. And shout out to Davis Mills. Didn't look bad. Looked good. Let me ask you a question. You know this is coming. Let's
Okay.
say Miami comes out, joint practices, we will be there.
Yep.
Let's say Davis Mills continues this, where he's not turning the ball over, he's making some plays, and CJ Shaw, let's say he goes out there and just looks like he is not quite there yet. Do you think the Texans will ever open up the quarterback conversation again? Because the last couple of practices, it has been CJ Stroud getting 100% of the first team reps. I wonder if against these practices with Miami, does that change?
Man, and that's a fantastic question, honestly. And this is no slight to CJ Stroud. He's still a
Mm-mm.
rookie,
Mm-mm.
and he's going to be your future quarterback, whether y'all like it or not. And obviously everyone likes it except for the 5%. In the 5%, those him some Davis Mills. And there's nothing wrong with Mills. He's actually looked good in these training camp games, days, and practices. It just there's inconsistencies with him where the inconsistency is so heavily awful that it outweighs the good that you see in training
Mm-hmm.
camp. And, I know what you're saying. I get it. If he has a good day against the Dolphins and CJ Stroud, let's say, regresses back to the mean, the average, should the Houston Texans, look into a Davis Mills?
Mm.
Well, I got to see it the next day because there's the inconsistency label is marked on his head. And if he goes back day two against Dolphins and he looks like crap, well, then we're back to where we started. So
Who
I'm
starts
just
against Miami?
say it again.
Who starts against Miami?
Well, with CJ taking 100% of the reps, we'll see tomorrow who takes it again. And I know the local media is like, oh, it's not a big deal anymore because CJ is taking 100% of the reps. I think it's looming still. I
Mm.
think it's good to still say that CJ Stroud is taking 100% of the reps. That's not an overreaction whatsoever. But if CJ doesn't look ready, and let's say I think he plays against the Dolphins, I think he's your starter.
Mm-hmm.
But if he looks to a point where he looks a little bit more flustered against NFL defenses, he doesn't look as comfortable as he should be, then I do believe the Texans might enter that conversation. Do they complete it with that answer that you want to say Davis Mills is QB1 week one of the regular season? No, I still don't think so. I
Mm.
still think it's CJ Stroud. I've always believed it was CJ Stroud. I don't see no point whatsoever in starting Davis Mills.
I completely agree. This comment right here is saying, is it me or they use CJ wrong? They need to let CJ Stroud throw the ball instead of running it on first down. Well, I can honestly say what you saw in that game was not what the Houston Texans have been practicing at
Yeah.
training camp. You are seeing a lot of play action, a lot of pre snap motion. You're seeing RPOs. So, obviously when you take that into consideration, you can't get too excited about the preseason. You can't get too bummed out about the preseason because you really don't know how these players are going to be until they put on the pads in week one. I do think Davis Mills makes it interesting, right? There's a training camp tomorrow. There's two joint practices, and
Yeah.
most of the time in joint practices, that's when coaches have a long time to get a good evaluation on these players.
Yeah, I mean, CJ only threw the ball 4 times. I'm not going to throw too much onto him.
Man.
I would have liked to seen some more. I do. I would have liked to seen the whole first quarter for CJ. It is what it is. I mean, I was expecting the second preseason game to be
Mm.
the heavy of the reps, because there's only 3 preseason games. You treat the second preseason game like the third preseason game used to be for all 4 preseason games. So,
Mhm.
and I know I said preseason games way too many times there, but regardless, CJ Stroud, he's going to be just fine. I'm going to definitely be watching him. We're all going to be watching him in these joint practices for sure. That those joint practices are
They
going to be
mean a lot.
super entertaining. Oh yes. Oh yes.
I don't think there's gonna be a corner that could guard Tank Dell one on one after his past couple of performances. Case Keenum, the veteran, he looked good. And bro, every time I see Case Keenum play, I get a little jealous. This dude's just gonna be collecting M's and not even doing anything on Sundays, man. Shout out to Case Keenum. He looked good. This defense looked good. Derek Stingley did not get a ball thrown at him.
Yeah.
And you know, we see Derek Stingley have some great plays at practice, some bad plays at practice, but it's nice to see another team not really go his way, bro. Overall, this defense, I think, was lights out. And I'm starting to think they will be the star of this show, especially with Will Anderson making plays. Jonathan Grenard blew up the run, and you had your conversations about him. 8.5 sacks 2 years ago, I believe, gets
Yes.
injured. Now with head coach D'Amico Ryans, he looked good. Big sexy Roy Lopez almost had a sack. Kurt Hinish had a sack. This defensive line, I'm gonna tell you, Harley, it has blew my expectations.
Yeah, I did not expect. And again, this is preseason,
Mm-hmm.
but man, we really weren't expecting the defensive line that I kept questioning. You kept questioning too about the line, the depth. What do we got at defensive line? And let's not forget Hassan Ridgeway looked really good as
Big boy
well.
97.
And hey, Ridgeway, so you got a Malik Collins, Sheldon Rankins, Hassan Ridgeway, Roy Lopez, Kurt Hinish. Are they keeping 5 defensive tackles? Because all of them look good.
Mm-hmm.
And well, Sheldon Rankins didn't play, of course, but the 4 that of the 5 that I mentioned, they looked good. So now you're going, who's going to be the tough cut there? Or are they rolling with 5 defensive tackles? I don't know. I'm not quite sure because we haven't even mentioned Thomas Booker's name.
Mm-mm.
Is he a cut practice squad guy? I don't know. I know there was a lot of outside noise. That what's his name, Brett Coleman, who does a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic YouTube channel where he just covers everything film wise. He's been a lot at it a lot longer than we have. But he mentioned Thomas Booker as a guy that he's excited to see D'Amico Ryans work with.
Mm.
I mean, he wasn't at practice today because he's dealing, I believe, with a groin injury. I could be mistaken there. I know he has an injury, but he's another guy that you haven't seen at all. So that's 6 DTs. I don't see it. I just don't know what's going to happen. Maybe 5 DTs is what they roll with. I
Mm.
have to look at the 49ers depth chart, and I want to see, compare and contrast, and see, okay, did they carry 4? Did they carry 5? Menahue was very versatile for them, where he played DT and D end. And that is something we saw from Will Anderson, where he played a 3 tech rep at training camp. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe I saw it in preseason. Now, he did a lot of stunts. There was all kinds of, oh man, the stunts from the defensive line, the play I mentioned earlier with Perryman, going into coverage but faking that and just blitzing. They did the exact same play with Henry T, and they got the exact same result. Ah, man, this defense, it's the play design, is
Mm-hmm.
the breadcrumbs that you want to keep eating. If this is a vanilla defense, dude, sign me up for this year.
That blitz on third down just got me
Mm,
excited, right? You see
yeah.
Will screaming up the edge, and
Mm-hmm.
dude, this defense might be surprising. Now, what are you expecting from, let's go ahead and say, this defense in week 2 against Miami? You're going against Mike Daniel, Tyreek Hill, all these great weapons. I'm not asking them to just stop them, but that bend don't break type of defense that D'Amico Ryans has had with the San Francisco 49ers. Um, I think this is going to be the first true test for head coach D'Amico.
What I'm looking at in the defense specifically is the
Mm,
secondary. Because, like you mentioned weapons. They got a Tyreek Hill, they got a Jalen Waddle. I don't know if those guys play in week 2 of the preseason, but the secondary has been advertised highly by local media, by us, YouTubers, everybody. The secondary is the strength of this Houston Texans defense. And hey, let's go to the name, man. Iron sharpens iron, right?
mm,
Let me see some Derek Stingley on a Tyreek Hill. Let me see some Steven Nelson on a Jalen Waddle. Let me see who else. What can D'Amico Ryan scheme up against this wide receiver group? In those 2 names specifically, with Tua, Mike McDaniels, who knows a little thing or two about the Shanahan offense. And this Dolphins team isn't no pushover. This is a
no,
good test for this Texans team. I don't think the Patriots are a good football team. I just don't think they are. I think they're average to below average. The Dolphins, are a solid to good football team. So
Hmm.
this should be a great test specifically for the secondary.
Yeah, no, 100%. We were all so excited to see, this defense really get to work because they embody the swarm mentality that head coach D'Amico Ryans has been preaching. You cannot find one like really negative thing to say about the defense performance. You only allowed 9 points, man, and you were lights out. What I also liked, Matt Burke, he's very animated on the sideline. He's jumping up, down, screaming at people, and I love that. It brings the intensity. The boy says Steven Nelson had me mad when he got beat on press coverage. Man, Petrie should have laid his ass out instead of going for the INT. But that's just the stuff that you fix in the
Yeah.
preseason, man. And Jalen Petrie, I mean, besides that one play, he looked good too.
Yeah, man. This again, the defense, like we've been harping on all of training camp, they're going to be fantastic this year.
Dude. And what's up? Everyone's hopping in. 50 people deep, guys. Thank y'all for joining us on a Saturday. Drop the W's in the chat. It is a great time to be a Houston Texans fan. We are talking about a W here. Now, going to, if we could preview a little bit. Well, also today was training camp, Harley.
Yeah, we had a little training camp today, a little walkthrough actually.
Mm.
Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild, other than CJ Stroud took first team reps again.
Man, he's gonna have to start against Miami, dude. And now I am putting some expectations on this game in week 2. Right? You need to show us something. It can't be just practice. And here's the thing: CJ has been balling out at practice. He's made some great plays against his D'Amico Ryan's defense, but it's different when you see it on nationally, man. Did you see the amount of bust tweets that CJ Stroud got?
Yeah, man, I laughed at it. I thought it was hilarious that. Alrighty, I don't know which one of it is, but I'm excited. Anyway, yeah, the bus tweet thing. I expected it. I expected it. I'm starting to laugh at it a lot more. It's
Hmm.
hilarious to me. Kay Adams, who has her own podcast, I think it's Up and Adams. That's what it's called.
Hmm.
She called them a bunch of idiots. Just straight out. And shout out to Kay Adams. Goodness gracious. Anyway,
Dude, go ahead.
stop. We're gonna get canceled. We want to say what we want to say. With that being said, yeah, she called them all out, called them a bunch of idiots. And I mean, come on, we obviously agree. This is
Hmm.
ridiculous. This is let me overreact and let me say Ohio State quarterbacks are always bad in the NFL. And now it's going to be the same thing for CJ Stroud. Oh my goodness, he looked horrible. How can you judge a quarterback who threw the ball 4 times against a New England Bill Belichick defense, regardless if it's vanilla or not? Like, come on, man. This is dumb, man.
It goes back to the negative media that we've been knowing as a Houston fan for,
We used to it.
yeah, many years to come. This doesn't surprise me. It does surprise
Mm-mm.
me that it's coming from our fan base, though, because here's the thing: the same people that are calling him a bust, they're going to be
Mm.
rocking his jersey by the end of the year. And don't let me start bookmarking tweets and screenshotting stuff
Ooh.
because you know I'll let you eat the crow,
Oh
man. If
yeah.
you calling my number 2 overall pick a bust after only throwing the 4 balls in the rain with 3 off starting offensive linemen out, shout out to another Texans podcast. They're doing their thing. 199 cursive till
Mm.
lettering spelling
Yum.
out yum.
Mm.
Love me some Patrick Storm.
Stormy.
Let's go
Appreciate it,
713.
Timothy.
And Harley, no, me and Harley are going to be one of your guys' go-to news for the Houston Texans because we're at almost every single training camp practice. We are hitting these lives almost 3 to 4 times a week, man. So make sure you guys are on this crazy ride with us because can you imagine if we go to the playoffs this year, Harley, and some of these people in this chat could say, "Damn, we started from week 1 talking about this."
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic whenever the Texans, the success, the riches, whenever it happens,
Hmm.
it's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be great to hit that record button, and it's going to be absolute. You're going to have that ecstatic feel. You can't wait to record. You can't wait to go live. You can't wait to talk to everyone, and everyone can't wait to hear what you got to say because everyone is excited. The energy is back in H-Town,
Mm-hmm.
and we are riding high. Get on the train, grab a ticket right now. D'Amico's leading the charge, and you got the rest of the Houston Texans, the company, the crew, C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, Will Anderson, and everyone else. The Houston Texans are on the come-ups, man, and I cannot wait till we get to see the riches into our lives, onto that TV screen. I can't wait to finally yell positivity, not yell negativity. Some optimistic yelling from me to that damn TV screen.
Jalen Johnson said, "You guys need to do a pod weekly talking about every Texans game." Well, that's what we do, man. So
Yep.
type this into Spotify, Believe in Texans. You will see 24 episodes from me and Harley Dugan, and we will drop the links in the descriptions once this live comes to an end. But make sure you guys are locked in. Another Texans podcast. They are on Harley's channel, telling him hi. And there is a question, Harley. I have a question for you both. How long have you known each other and since when?
Okay, so you haven't heard this story from me, actually. We always hear
Oh,
your side of it. So I remember the first time I really met you. We were practicing for flag football,
shout out to flag football.
and oh yeah, we again flag football because our school was very poor. We could not afford pads and all the other logistics. So that it is what it is. Flag football it is. I created flag football at my school. Anyway, next thing. So we were in line. We're doing drills. We're in line. I have a great memory, by the way. Don't ask me why. It's just I was blessed with it. It's me, Jonathan Lozano's in front of me, and then you're in front of Jonathan Lozano. And I remember you were saying something about the Houston Texans. And Jonathan Lozano goes, "Well, dude, there ain't no bigger Texans fan than Harley right behind me."
Mm-hmm.
And you looked at me like, what does this guy know? And you're like, oh, okay, then what was the first pick of the Houston Texans draft? Whenever
Easy.
they first came in. And I was like, well, that depends. Are you asking about the supplemental draft or are you asking about the NFL draft?
I remember
And you
that
were like,
too.
okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. So that was the first time we met each other. You were, I believe, in 10th grade and I was a
Mm.
junior, something like that. So, yeah, that was, man, almost let's
Was
not get
that
into how
10
many years
years
ago that
ago?
was.
10
Stop
years
it, buddy.
ago,
Stop it.
bro?
I don't like talking about the age thing, man. I don't
Yeah,
like
we're
talking.
getting old out here, man. No, my first memory of Harley, like I said, we were playing against each other. He had his upperclassmates and their squad of 15, and I had my underclassmen squad of 15. And Andres, who was in this chat, he was a part of my squad also. Shout out to Andres. I wasn't the quarterback though. That was my boy Mark. I was the wide receiver on offense. Then on
Mark.
defense, I was that ball hawking, pick six and safety. But we got to get old one day, Harley.
Stop, bro. I don't want to talk about that.
Dude, it's crazy seeing players now get drafted who are younger than us.
I know, like,
And that
man,
hurts.
yeah, like it hurts when I'm like,
I look at my body and I'm like, I'm not 6'4", 240.
yeah, right,
Like I'm
or
Mexican, dude. We're small, brother. You know, we don't we rarely don't hit 6'2".
we try our asses off. I'll tell you that. We got all heart. And that's what pisses me off. What pisses me off a lot is the football players that have no heart whatsoever. And they're gifted with the ability, but they just don't give a damn. And I'm like, man, if I was that guy, I would be a freaking stud. Like, my goodness. If I was 6'3", 215, man, it's over. It would be raps. Call me Jerry Rice because I'd be catching slants for TDs all day.
Can you imagine a
God
wide
damn.
receiver named Harley Dugan in the Pro Bowl?
My goodness gracious. I mean, no, I'm gonna stop there. But it's crazy to think about that because like what I was gonna say is JJ Watt. Like I've seen his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about to see his career end with the Ring of Honor, and I will be there with my dad against the Steelers in Houston. If anybody's there, make sure to check us out, man. Give us a shout out. I don't mind talking to a few people. My dad will be there. He's super chill, super cool guy. So we'll be there talking and listening and watching some Texans, hopefully beating the crap out of the Steelers that day. So hell yeah.
That's why you got to start those one more year JJ Watt chance, man,
Oof.
because he's coming back, dude. Can you? Okay, dude. Imagine this, like the defense added with JJ Watt, and you got Will on one side and JJ at the other end. That's gonna be insane.
Oof. Don't get me excited. You know my love for JJ Watt, and I know your hate for JJ Watt. So let's get it on. You know I'm gonna dog you if JJ Watt comes in there and he goes last 6 games and just gets 8 sacks in 6 games. I don't care. Mm, mm.
Hey, I
Whole bunch of
applaud him.
bootios.
I applaud him when he does great. I have a I have a love hate relationship with JJ Watt, man. Most of the time I hate him, but shout out to 99.
Love me some JJ Watt. This is why he's not being on the podcast because he hates you.
Yeah, I added him on Twitter a couple years ago to a list. I'm not afraid to rob you, and shout out to shout out to JJ Watt. No, man, dude, it like we're all joking around here because if we're talking after a W here, guys. Like you don't really get those here in Houston. Blake says I should be signed to ESPN. Me and Harley gonna have a show on there one day. We're gonna be talking mess and we're gonna rep H Town to the very extent because they don't get no love. John Singleton, I'm gonna give you some flowers, even though we're talking football. 2 home runs yesterday, monster
Mm.
home runs. First home run since 2015. I remember John Singleton's home debut. It's good to see that the Astros stuck with him and he's hitting bombs, man.
Yeah, I love it. It's a good feel good story that everyone loves to hear. Excuse me. I remember it too. I watched those horrible Astros teams. I watched Brett Oberholzer go out there as my starting pitcher. I saw Lucas Harrell. Or is it, yeah, Lucas Harrell, not Graham Harrell. Graham Harrell, quarterback for Texas Tech. Lucas Harrell and Bud
Mhm.
Norris and Jordan Lyles. I saw Dallas Keuchel struggle and become great. So yeah, it's good. It's a good feel good story.
And as we come to an end, Harley, let the fans know where they can find you.
You can find me at the lead underscore HOU. Make sure you're subscribed. We're on the road to 4,000. We're almost there. We're only like 15 away,
Come
guys.
on, guys.
Just 15 away. I had a good spike for the birthday. I appreciate everyone subscribing, but me and Ruben are dropping the latest updates, the latest rumors in all of Texans training camp. We will be there tomorrow. I will be there. Ruben will be there. We'll be there for the Dolphins joint practice, which we cannot wait for. Man, I'm so excited about that. I can't wait. So again, make sure you're subscribed to the lead underscore HOU and make sure to check us out. If you missed the live, check us out in the Believe in Texans podcast, where you can find it anywhere where you stream all your podcasting platforms. Again, BLEAV, Believe in Texans.
Yes, you can find me on YouTube. Just type in 713 Houston Sportcast in the search bar. We just hit 7K, the number one uncredentialed YouTube channel for the Houston Texans. Worked so hard for this, man. Shout out, shout out. And like Harley said, we will be there tomorrow. We will probably go live a little bit into the night because on Sundays, everyone's watching some Houston Texans football. So everyone, have a blessed rest of your night. If you go out to the clubs, be safe. If you see me and Harley there tomorrow, buy us a freaking Topo Chico. As
Yeah.
always, y'all have a very blessed day.